Thank you. Yeah, under 5 minutes. Well done. Mr. Lamborn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and for both of the chairmen, thank you for having this hearing. Ms. McCarthy, it's probably no secret to you that tens of millions of Americans fear the EPA, despise it, and even hate it. Many of them are in my district. One of the reasons many Americans feel this way is the high-handed and arrogant way that the EPA operates. It is constantly moving the goalposts of environmental standards. In many, if not all of these cases, the existing standards are already quite stringent and have been complied with at great expense on the part of taxpayers or the private sector. To ignore the high economic cost of further tightening of standards shows a disregard for the difficulties that many everyday Americans face in putting food on the table without having to pay higher prices for energy or losing jobs because of the higher costs of regulation to business. So my state of Colorado, for instance, is currently being forced to sue the EPA to avoid the ill-considered Clean Energy Plan, which has an extremely high cost for little or no environmental benefit. Now, the arrogance of the EPA is seen by its reaction in the aftermath of the horrible environmental disaster in Colorado that we're here to discuss and investigate today. No one has been punished, and the EPA is seeking to avoid any hit on its budget for judgments against it resulting from this disaster. It wants other parts of the Federal Government to pay any judgments. So this, to me, Ms. McCarthy, is a double standard, because had the private sector caused the environmental tragedy in Colorado, there would be serious fines and possible criminal penalties. So this brings me to my first question. In light of the perceived double standard that the EPA operates under, where the private sector is not allowed to use its own science and come to its own conclusions unquestioned, would you support legislation by Congress that would require the EPA to disclose to the American people online whatever science it uses to form its judgments?
Sir, I'm not prepared to talk in big picture about what we would support or not support. I am here to tell you that we have taken full responsibility for this issue. We are treating us the same way we would be treating the private sector. And while you are absolutely right, we enforce our statutes. That's what brings the public health and environmental protections and benefits that people rely on in this country. And I believe they will continue to rely on our ability to deliver those.
A private company would have to absorb a fine assessed by the EPA from its budget, and you're seeking to have...
Yeah. Not in this consequence. This was actually a response action to try to mitigate a danger that was pointed out to us, and the challenge for the private sector would be the same as us. Make sure that if an accident happened at that site, that they get people out and keep them safe, that they reduce the spill quickly, and they take account and accountability for all of the damage that it caused.
So a private company
exactly what we're doing.
A private company wouldn't have been fined
only if
they were acting in good faith.
Only if the actions they were taking were against an order or a settlement, or someone was found negligent or criminal in the activities. And those last two issues are what the Department of the Interior will help inform. If we were negligent, if we didn't do what we should have done, if we didn't do due diligence, then we will have to be held accountable for that as well.
Now, in the meantime, let me ask you this about the contractor.
Yeah.
Is the contractor being suspended from further work on mines until the results of the investigation come back?
No, sir, because the consultant the contractor was working under the direct supervision of our on-site coordinator. It is my understanding that at this point we don't have any reason to believe that he wasn't doing the work that he was tasked to do.
So it was the director's, EPA director's fault for...
I'm not sure where fault lies. That's what the Department of the Interior is going to identify. The question is, the key decision that was made there was the understanding based on the site conditions, and this was the experts from us in Colorado, that there was that was low or no pressure. That was the key decision. It wasn't the fact that he did the work the way the task order indicated. It was the fact that a determination was made that proved to be incorrect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Heiss.